Okay, next we're going to check out some of the Midi mouse modifiers in Reaper. And as you can see over here, there's a bunch of them. Let's start off with the Midi note ones. And there's a few options over here as well. Left click, left drag, and double click. We'll start off with left click, and the default action is to select the note and move the edit cursor. Let's open this up by double clicking. It opens up the Midi editor, and here's where mouse modifiers under the Midi context are going to matter. So again, it's going to select the note and move the edit cursor. So if we click over here, it selects the note and moves the cursor, or here, but there's other options, which we can change right here. We can select the note without moving the edit cursor, which is one of my personal favorites. Because if the cursor is over here, and we want to hit play, we want to click on notes like this, and not have it move the edit cursor, or replay from that spot, which is what's going to happen if it's set over here, to select note and move the edit cursor. Now if we hit play, every time I click a note, it reseeks from that point. And that can be turned off in the seeking preferences, but if you just want it to change for Midi, we could do it here by changing this to select note. Now we can choose our notes without it reseeking or moving the edit cursor. That option is also available by default by holding down the Option key on the Mac or Alt on the PC, but we can choose it as a default action right here. We could also choose it to move the edit cursor, ignoring snap, or select notes and add later ones, which is the default by holding down Command and Option on Mac or Control and Alt on PC. So now if we click a note right here, it selects that note and everything after it. So if we want to quickly delete from here on, just click it and delete it. We could also add note and add later notes to selection or toggle note selection, which is the default, while holding down Command on the Mac or Control on the PC. So we could toggle note selection by clicking them or clicking them again to unselect them. We can add a range of notes to our selection, which is the same thing as holding down Shift. So if we hold down Shift, we could select this one, and then this one, and all three get selected. Or this one, and all of these get selected. We could erase notes, which if you notice, doesn't have a modifier assigned to it. Let's put this back to select note, and let's put it on Control for Mac or Start for PC. We can choose Erase Note, hold down that modifier, and click it. The note gets deleted. Or we could toggle muting the note, hold down the modifier, that note is muted. See how the color changes? This note's not going to play. Same over here, over here. All these notes are muted. And it toggles, so we can unmute them just as easily. And there's no modifier automatically assigned to that, so it's a good one to know. We can change the note channel for each note, the Midi channel from 1 to 16, right from here. Make the note lower or higher. We can also double the note length. Let's do that here, and with Shift Control or Shift Start, let's cut it in half. So now we can adjust the note length by double or half by holding down those modifiers. We can double it, just like this, or cut it in half by adding Shift. It's a great way of lengthening or shortening our notes. Make it double or half. And of course, we can use our action list. let's choose Quantize Event. And right here, we can quantize events to the grid. And that's going to happen by holding down the modifier. So now with one click, I can quantize this note to the nearest grid. Let's do it this one, or this one. It jumps to the closest grid. So we can selectively quantize just the notes that are out of time. This one's a bit off. We could just fix this one, and it moves it. So those are the options for left click. But we also have left drag right here. By default, it's going to move the note. So if we drag this, it moves it. But again, we can change that. We can move the note ignoring snap, which is the default, by holding down Shift. We can ignore the selection and grouping, or we can move in one direction only, either based on our first movement or choosing horizontally or vertically. So if we choose in one direction only, the first movement we do is going to be the only movement we can do. So by bringing this up and down, it only goes up and down, not left and right. But if we drag it left and right first, it only goes left and right. We can't go up and down. Or we can choose it ahead of time by choosing horizontally or vertically. And this option is already available by default right here by holding down Shift and Command on Mac or Shift and Control on PC. We can stretch our notes either normally, ignoring snaps, or vertically or legato. We can copy the notes. Let's just copy, which is the default by holding down Command on Mac or Control on PC. So if a note is selected like this, and we hold down the modifier, when we move it, it's going to copy that note. So it's great for moving sections or chords. Let's make some notes here. Let's say we want to move this all together. Just select them all, hold down the modifier, and we can copy and move that chord over to here. And this can ignore snap, only move horizontally or vertically. We can also edit the note velocity, which by default is set to Option on Mac or Alt on PC. Hold down the modifier, and we can change the velocity. Let's select them all. See how it moves the velocity? 127, or anything in between. And that's here by default. We could fine-tune it, or even erase notes, which again by default, there's no option here by holding down a modifier. So we can erase notes by dragging. Let's put this back to its default, and let's set it to Control on Mac or Start on PC. To erase notes, it kind of seems weird to erase notes while dragging, but watch what happens. Hold down the modifier, we get this eraser tool. So I can quickly erase notes instead of one by one altogether. Watch it. Just drag over it and erase just the notes you want to erase. Let's do it again. Let's get these three, and this one, and this one, and this one, while leaving the others. It's a very quick way of deleting, and there's no option for it by default. So it's another good one to know. Now this context is running a bit long, so I've cut this video into 2 parts. In the next video, we're going to check out the second half of the MIDI note mouse modifiers. Let's go.